It had rained the whole morning, and Jesse's shoes were soaked through by the time he walked past the empty gas station on his way home. The sky hung low, like it hadn't made up its mind whether to keep crying or stop. Jesse, 14, wore a hand-made-down hoodie that didn't quite fit, with sleeves stretched from too many washes. His backpack was half open, holding a sandwich he hadn't touched at lunch. He wasn't hungry. Not really. That's when he saw it. A wallet, thick leather, black lying by the edge of the curb, half tucked into a puddle. It looked out of place, like it had no business being there. Jesse stopped, looked around. No one in sight. Only the soft hiss of tires passing wet pavement in the distance. He picked it up. Inside, it was full. Cash. Dozens, maybe hundreds of dollars. Cards. IDs. A driver's license. Jesse blinked. Carlton, Arthur Carlton. Address just 3 blocks away. Jesse stood still, the weight of the wallet heavier than it should have been. His stomach tightened. His hands cold, despite the warmth of the leather. He could keep it. Just a few bills. No one would know. They were behind on rent. Mom's been crying at night again. The heater hadn't worked in 2 weeks, and Jesse had been sleeping with his coat on. But he couldn't. Or maybe he could, but something deeper wouldn't let him move forward. He walked the rest of the way home, slower than usual, the wallet still in his hand. At the door, his mother was frying potatoes. She turned and looked at him, then at the wallet. Her face said nothing, but her eyes asked everything. He told her what happened. "You're a good boy," she said softly, brushing a damp lock from his forehead. But there was something else in her voice, a quiet fear. Fear that honesty didn't pay, that the world didn't care for good boys. Jesse left the wallet in a paper bag on the man's porch that evening, carefully sealing it, wiping it clean of his fingerprints, like a thief returning stolen treasure. He didn't ring the bell. He just stood in the cold for a moment, then left. That night, he lay in bed, listening to the wind creep through the cracks in the windows. He wondered if the man had found it, wondered if he had even noticed it missing. Jesse didn't expect anything, but a small part of him buried beneath the hunger, the damp socks, the cold room felt proud. And that, somehow, was enough. The next day was brighter, still cold, but the sun had slipped through the cracks in the clouds like it too had made a decision to try. Jesse didn't think much of it. He went about his usual Saturday helping Mrs. Lang down the block rake her yard for a few bucks, then picking up groceries his mum had listed on a scrap of torn envelope. When he got home, his mum was waiting at the door, her face unreadable. "A man came by," she said. Jesse froze, heart quickening. His first thought was trouble. His second, he knew exactly who. "He asked for you. Left this." She handed him a small envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. "You returned something that mattered. Most don't. I'd like to thank you in person. Arthur Carlton." He stared at it, his throat dry. There was no anger in the note, no demand, just a quiet kind of warmth, like a knock that didn't push, only waited. That evening, Jesse walked to the address he had memorized from the ID. The house stood tall and proud, with trimmed hedges and wind chimes that swayed gently, casting soft notes into the evening air. He stood there for a long time before knocking. The man who opened the door was older, gray hair, neat sweater, kind eyes. His posture was straight but not stiff. He looked like someone who had spent a life watching people carefully and speaking only when it mattered. "You must be Jesse," the man said. Jesse nodded. Mr. Carlton didn't ask him why he returned the wallet. He didn't ask anything at first. He invited him in for tea, chamomile. The living room smelled like books and clean wood, the kind of place where the heater worked. They sat quietly. "I used to be a school principal," Mr. Carlton said eventually. "I've met thousands of kids. Most of them forget their choices matter. You didn't." Jesse didn't know what to say. No one had ever talked to him like that. Not like he was a child who got lucky. Like he was someone worth seeing. "You could have kept it," Mr. Carlton continued. "You didn't. That says more about you than any report card ever could." Jesse's chest tightened, but it wasn't fear this time. It was something else. Like something locked away for too long was finally stretching its arms. Mr. Carlton offered him a part-time job helping around the house, organizing books, walking his old dog, Daisy. "Only if you want," he said. Jesse nodded, barely trusting his own voice. That night, walking home, he felt taller, not because anything had changed outside, but because, for the first time in a long time, something had shifted inside. Jesse started going to Mr. Carlton's house every other day after school. At first, It was just small tasks, sorting boxes in the attic, fixing squeaky door hinges, brushing Daisy, who took to Jessie like an old friend remembering a familiar soul. But something happened in those quiet afternoons. Between the cups of tea and soft jazz playing on the radio, Jessie began to speak more, not just about chores or school, but about himself, about how he felt like life handed him little pieces and told him to build something whole, about how he was tired of feeling like he never mattered. Mr. Carlton never gave long speeches. He asked questions, he listened, and every so often, he'd share a story, a student he once taught who overcame anger, or a girl who thought she'd never read well, but ended up loving poetry. "You remind me of them," he said once. Jessie started reading more, borrowed books from Mr. Carlton's shelves, discovered he liked stories that made his chest ache and wonder, began writing things down, two feelings he didn't know had words. His mother noticed. "You've been different," she said one night over dinner. Lighter. He smiled but didn't explain. Some things weren't meant to be explained. They were meant to be felt. Then one afternoon, Mr. Carlton sat him down at the kitchen table and placed an envelope in front of him. "I've spoken to a friend of mine who runs a private scholarship program," he said. "If you're willing to write an essay, I think you'd be a good candidate." Jessie stared at the envelope. He felt like it was too much, like this wasn't meant for someone like him. "I don't deserve this," he whispered. Mr. Carlton leaned forward. "Then write about that. Write about why you feel that way. And then tell them why you returned the wallet anyway." It took Jessie 3 nights to write it. He titled it, "Why I Would Still Give It Back." In it, he poured his heart out, not just about the wallet, but about growing up without knowing if kindness was worth it, about the cold winters, the unopened mail, the feeling of walking through life unseen, and then, about the moment he felt seen. Weeks later, the letter arrived. He had received the scholarship, not a full ride, but enough. Enough to see the road stretch forward instead of ending at the doorstep. But that wasn't the real reward. The real reward was standing in front of the mirror and liking the boy looking back, not because he had money, not because someone helped him, but because, in a world that often turned its back, he chose to stand still, hold out what didn't belong to him, and say, "This isn't mine, but I still care." Sometimes, the greatest rewards don't come in envelopes or applause. They come quietly, like sunlight breaking through a window you forgot was there. Jessie's story isn't just about honesty, it's about the courage to be good even when no one is watching. We all carry choices like that wallet, heavy, full of meaning. What we do with them defines who we are. If this story moved you, consider sharing it. Let someone else remember the power of a small act done with a big heart. Like, comment, subscribe, and most of all, keep choosing the good.